Today's story is about power, pressure, and unfinished business. Trump reportedly took some of the biggest names in U.S. tech to Beijing, including Elon Musk, Tim Cook, and Jensen Huang. That alone tells you how serious the trip was. This was not just a diplomatic visit. It was a high-stakes move at the center of the U.S.-China tech war. But after more than 2 hours of closed-door talks, there was still no real breakthrough. There was discussion about H200 graphics card supply. There was talk about trade. There was some movement around business interests. But there was no structural deal, no major reset, no clear end to the tension. That is what markets were really watching for. And that is what they did not get. China reportedly offered to buy 200 Boeing aircraft and increase agricultural purchases. But that was not enough to satisfy expectations. Boeing shares fell about 4% on the day, which tells you how disappointed investors were. The market was not looking for symbolic gestures. It wanted something bigger. Instead, what we got was a fragile pause. Tariff pressure was not removed. It was only held back for now. One of the most striking details was Jensen Huang's sudden appearance. He was not originally on the guest list. But once the media attention intensified, Trump reportedly called him directly and brought him in. Huang even traveled through Alaska and joined Air Force One partway through the trip. That says a lot about how central Nvidia has become to the U.S.-China story. AI chips are no longer just a tech issue. They are now a strategic issue. When Huang arrived in China, he drew a crowd. That was not surprising. Nvidia remains one of the most important companies in the world for AI infrastructure. And China remains one of the biggest markets for Nvidia, Tesla, and Apple. But there is a catch. The business opportunity is enormous. The political risk is just as large. China wants access to advanced technology. The U.S. wants to protect its AI advantage. And Xi Jinping has drawn a line on Taiwan, warning that pressure could lead to real conflict. So while everyone wants a deal, nobody wants to give up too much. That is why the big corporate announcements never came. The trip created headlines. It created noise. But it did not create certainty. And that matters for investors. Big tech stocks may face more volatility from here because the market is now dealing with a harder truth. Political theater is not the same as policy change. Now let's move to the second major story, Cerebras. Cerebras, the AI chip startup that many investors had been watching closely, finally made its NASDAQ debut, and it did not arrive quietly. The IPO opened at $185. At one point, the stock surged to $385 and triggered a trading halt. It later closed 68% higher at $311. Then it slipped again on the second day. On paper, that looks like a huge success. And in one sense, it is. Cerebras is one of the first true AI chip companies to reach the public market with real attention. But there is a serious question underneath the hype. Its technology is very different from the chips most people know. Instead of cutting one wafer into many small chips, Cerebras uses an entire wafer as a single chip. That can create extremely fast processing. But it also raises major concerns about yield, reliability, and scale. In semiconductors, scale is everything. Speed matters, but consistency matters more. You need manufacturing quality. You need repeatable output. You need a product that can be made at scale without massive waste. That is where the debate begins. Cerebras is built for a new phase of AI. A few years ago, the race was mostly about training large models. That is where Nvidia dominated. Now the focus is shifting towards inference, meaning how fast AI can answer user questions in real time. Cerebras is trying to position itself as a leader in that world. Its chips are reportedly much faster than many conventional GPUs for certain tasks. But they are not built for everything. And they do not solve the whole AI stack. There is also a business risk. Last year, a very large share of revenue came from just a couple of customers in the UAE. That concentration made people nervous. The company has since tried to broaden its customer base, including deals linked to OpenAI, AWS, and Meta. That helps reduce the concern, but it does not erase it. So how should investors read the IPO? Not as proof that the story is over, but as proof that the AI chip race is still alive and still risky. Now to the biggest trend of the week, real-time AI. This is where the industry is quietly changing. The biggest theme right now is not just smarter AI. It is faster, more natural, more interactive AI. AI that listens while you speak. AI that reacts while you move. AI that can interrupt, respond, and cooperate in real time. OpenAI's GPT Realtime 2 is part of that shift. It lets users adjust the balance between speed and intelligence. Across 5 levels, in the fastest mode, it can answer in just over 1 second. That makes it feel much closer to a human conversation, especially in call center or everyday assistant settings. If you need deeper reasoning, you can switch to a slower and smarter mode. The AI may take longer, but it gives more thoughtful answers. It can even fill the silence while thinking, which makes the interaction feel more natural. But OpenAI is not alone. Mira Murati's Thinking Machines Lab moved fast after OpenAI's announcement and launched its own interaction model. Their argument is bold. They say the old turn-based model is dying. That means AI should not wait passively until a person finishes speaking. It should keep watching, listening, and responding in short time slices. That can make it more useful for coaching, movement, tracking, live support, and collaborative work. The structure is also interesting. One part of the system handles quick social interaction. Another, heavier model handles the hard tasks like coding or web search. Together, they create a kind of real-time teamwork between the user and the machine. That is a serious shift. If this works, it will affect customer service, education, health coaching, productivity tools, and personal assistance. In other words, the future competition in AI will not just be about accuracy, it will be about presence. Can the AI respond like a real partner? Can it keep up with human pace? Can it feel natural instead of mechanical? That is where the market is heading. And that brings us back to the broader picture. The US-China tech rivalry is still unresolved. The AI chip race is still heating up. Cerebras shows that investors are still hungry for infrastructure plays. And real-time AI shows that the next stage of the AI boom may be more about interaction than raw scale. So the message for today is this: no biggest China deal, a hot but controversial AI chip IPO, and a new wave of real-time AI tools that could reshape the whole market. The surface looks active, but underneath, the pressure is still building.